Hi everyone. So today we are going to have a discussion with the lovely Eva Rado, who has an important mission to support moms in their entrepreneurship journey. So I'm very excited to have Eva here. Eva's work is life-changing because she helps us mom break away from gender norms. So we no longer accept that because we are the moms, we are the one who have to do everything around the house. So today, Eva is going to tell us about some of the resources that she's put together to help moms share the load at home with everyone in the family. Because if moms are no longer the ones who have to do all and everything around the house, this means that they have time to focus on their business and they can change the world. So Eva, welcome. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Camilla. It's lovely to be here. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. So, would you like to start by telling us a little bit about yourself and also about what sparked you to get on this path of wanting to stop what you call the mummy martyrdom?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have run businesses for over 20 years in different guises and worked in small business. And I left my corporate role to do that so that I could be the kind of mum I wanted to be and be available for my children and still in this modern world contribute the income that my family needed to have the lifestyle that we dreamed of. Um, and over the years, I found that it became easier and easier that I became the default parent, the default housekeeper, the default cook, the default washerwoman. And it got to the point where a few years ago, I actually was in complete burnout. So I just couldn't do the job of, effectively 4 people in the space of one body, trying to be wife, mum, housekeeper, business owner. It was all too much. And so as I crawled out of the burnout and I started to think about what had led me to hit that rock bottom and be in such a state, I came to realize that it really was the preconditioned societal gender biases that I was hanging on to, even though I had been raised by a parents who told me, I could do anything and I could be anything. But what I had taken on and what I then realized a lot of mums around me had taken on is that we had to do everything and be everything for everybody. And the way that I was being in the house, the perfectionism I was expecting, that I thought they expected of me, both society, my family outside of the house, and the people that I lived with, what I thought they expected of me, what I then took on as what I expected of myself, what I expected of them, and how I was being around what was good enough and what wasn't good enough. Really led to what I call the mummy martyrdom, where I just I had to take it on. I had to do it all. Nobody else could do it anywhere near as well as I could, and yet I wanted their help, and so I would find myself screaming and nagging and begging and why can't you all do it and take it on and help me. And at the same time, nothing that they ever did to help was ever good enough in the eyes of how I thought I had to keep my home. And so as I crawled out of the burnout and realized all of this and changed my communication, my expectations, and the way that I really just let go of micromanaging the house more than anything. And it helped me to let go of that mummy martyrdom. And I found myself suddenly free. I was, I had time, I had headspace, I had energy back. And so in talking to those people around me, business friends and other mums that I have known outside of business, and realizing that this is not just in my house, this is something that happens right across the globe. And unfortunately, in this day and age, you know, lots and lots of mums struggle with that balance of how do I be the mum that I want to be, maintain the home that I think I'm supposed to be maintaining, and still contribute the income my family needs and not completely drain myself.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of moms resonate with this because, yeah, we are just put on so many expectations, most of them by society, but lots of them by ourselves, I would say.
Yes.
That we really expect to be perfect in every domain, as a mom, as a housekeeper, as a wife. And yeah, that's exhausting.
It is exhausting. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you touch a little bit about gender norms and, let's say, gender bias, I will say, towards roles. So I think that we're in a society that is becoming more and more equal, which is good, but we still have a big gap. And when it comes to moms versus dads, we still have these expectations that moms are the one who run the household. So in your opinion, what makes it so difficult for moms to share this load and to not be the one who manage the household by themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, Camille. I'll go back to that comment you made about it not being equal, and I don't want to take away anything from, you know, the suffragettes and the feminists of the past and the struggles and the fight that they, you know, had, the marches and all of that. Very, very important, and I'm very grateful and thankful that they did that, so that I have the opportunities, my daughters have the opportunities that, you know, my grandmother never had. But what they were struggling for was what they called equality. And the difficulty is, in our day and age, we mix up the word equality with fairness. And we certainly want to have an equal standing as females, which, you know, for centuries the patriarchy didn't allow us to have. And we very much appreciate that we have equal rights to vote and to work. And, you know, we are still working towards trying to get an equal standing on the pay issue and all of that kind of thing. But what we've missed, and the generations that fought for us to have these equalities, what they missed is that the work that women do in the home and have traditionally done in the home, we can't be equal outside of the home unless that is equal in the home. However, equal is not really the right word, because we aren't all equal. We aren't the same person. We don't have the same capabilities. We don't have the same life experiences. We don't have the same, we're not at the same stage of life development, growth, dexterity. I'm talking about, you know, even the children, that kind of thing. And so what I want to see, what I hope, is that we can get to a point where we have fairness in the world, more than equality, because when we can each be considerate of each other's capabilities and difficulties and work so that everybody gets what they need and contributes what they can within the home, that's when we really have a sense of community, and that's really what we're all after. It really, your question though was about why is it that women still hold on to all of this? It really is because that's what we were raised to do. And it's like a generational expectation. It's, you know, it's what we saw, what was role modeled, what we without thinking take on, what we the way that our whole society is structured. You know, the family leave entitlements across the world for females is very different to that for males. And you know, there's still in the workplace and governments, there's still this whole idea that it's the woman's job to raise the family. it's the woman's job to be the nurturer and the carer. And there's no compensation in terms of that. In our current lifestyle, we need double incomes. And so if we, I saw a great meme the other day. It said, we expect women to work like they have no children and raise children like they don't work. Yeah. And we don't expect that of men.
No.
And so that's what creates this, that we, it's this cycle where, as much as the past few generations have spoken about equality and have spoken about women having choices and freedoms, we haven't set up our society yet, and we haven't set up our homes yet to actually enable our society, regardless of gender, regardless of mental capacity, regardless of physical capabilities. We haven't set up our society and, as I said, and our homes to work in a way that is fair.
Yeah, so yeah, you talk a lot about fairness, and I would like to get back to that. So you said that what we actually failed is to make sure that we achieve fairness within the house, within the home. So as mom, what are the small steps that we can take in order to achieve more fairness?
Yeah, and I love that you ask about small steps, because we don't want to just, wipe everything clean and then, find ourselves falling back into old habits and getting frustrated again. So small steps are going to make for lasting change. And I think one of the very first things is that as mum, we have to not just acknowledge that we're frustrated and that it's all on us, and that, and that we need to change the way things are, but we need to actually stop and take a look around and observe what is working and what isn't working right now. And it'll be different for every mum, every home, every family. This is why I don't like templates and cookie cutter fixes, because no one has the family dynamic that you have in your home. Nobody is dealing with whatever personality combinations you have. Nobody is dealing with exactly the life experience that you bring, that your partner brings, that your children have had at the age that they're at, and nobody has the same four walls that you have. So, the first thing I say is acknowledge that you have your own unique environment, both internally and physical environment and dynamic environment of the people involved, and then take a look at what is working and what isn't working right now for you. Not from a perspective of judgment or blame or having to, come up with all the fixes, but just to be able to sit back and say, you know what, it really doesn't bother me that I do all the vacuuming, but it bothers me. It really doesn't work for me that I'm the only one who washes up after dinner when I'm the one that cooks dinner. Whatever it is that, and that's the other thing. What one mum will find frustrating, another won't. So you've got to, that first step really is to just take some time to acknowledge what is and is not working for you right now, because it will change with time.
I love that. Yeah, I love that you acknowledge the uniqueness of every situation, and that there is not really like one thing that it should be this way and that will be perfectly fair. It's up to each of us to know what is acceptable for us, what we actually, there might be some household chores that we actually enjoy doing. I enjoy washing dishes. I enjoy the hot water. I love it. But some that we really hate, and starting there. So in the work you're doing, so it's not only sharing the load with our partners, it's also sharing the load with our children. Would you have some tips around that, depending on the age of the children, how we could get them involved?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's never too early to start involving the members of the household. And the one thing that I say to my clients all the time is, it's not just you. You're not the only one that lives in the house. And even just, it's not just you and your partner, your husband are not the only ones that live in the house. And you're not the only ones that are eating the food and dirtying the dishes and wearing the clothes and, you know, making the dirt and the dust and the mess. And so just as everyone is capable to contribute to the mess of the house, everyone needs to be responsible for making sure that the house stays in a state that is safe and comfortable for everybody else. So, you know, even really small kids can take on some of the, I'll say responsibilities, but obviously at 3, they're not going to be responsible. We're going to still be responsible, but it can certainly be their task to match the socks. And I do really dislike that conversation that says, yep, at 3 they do this, and at 8 they do that, and at 10 they can do that. Because again, different children, they develop their dexterity at different times, or they develop their balance at different times, or their cognitive abilities at different times. So you know your own children, and you know what they're capable of. For example, I've got one client that I'm working at the moment, and they do have a 3-year-old, and one of their big bugbears is the laundry in their house. And so we were talking about how, you know, one of them has to look after their son and the other one has to do the laundry, and they can't do it as a combined connecting family task. And so we broke that down, and, you know, he's not physically able yet to match or to fold the socks, but he can certainly match a white sock with a white sock and a striped sock with a striped sock. So now what they do is they fold the laundry together as the 3 of them one afternoon, and his task is to match the socks, and someone else folds the laundry, and someone else rolls up the socks and folds them with him. And so that's a way for him to be a part of the responsibilities of keeping the house clean and tidy, and it not being done for him, even as early as only being able to match the socks. You know, and then it's even things like people say to me, oh, I'd never let them unload the dishwasher. They'll just break the dishes. But if you've got plastics in your dishwasher, why can't they unload that? Or if you've washed the plastics by hand and they're too young to walk with, you know, an actual plate, well, then they can put those ones away while you're unloading the dishwasher. So there's always ways to get children, no matter how young or what their capabilities are, to be involved in the process.
I love this idea of matching socks. That's really fun, actually. I think that's a fun game for a small kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can say that my daughter, when she was 3, she was actually just putting the plates away. Like they were not plastic plates. And she did that because she saw us unloading the dishwasher and she wanted to be part of it. So we were just carefully looking at her, but she never broke a plate.
Yeah, no. And that's exactly it, Camille. Like, there are some children who just can do things like that, and then there are other children who, you know, will not be able to manage it. So, you know, until they're a little bit older, and that's why I say, you know, your own home, the people that are there, what they can and can't cope with. You know, I've got another client, and they've got one child who has sensory issues. So even at 12, he won't unload the dishwasher because he won't load the dishwasher. He'll unload it once it's dry, but he won't load his dishes into the dishwasher because the dirty dishes, it sets him off. And so that's what I mean when I'm talking about being fair. It's not fair to expect that he's going to do something that makes him uncomfortable. Fair is that he says, okay, well, I can't do that, but I'm happy to fold the washing for everybody.
Yeah.
And that means that others are free to put his dishes in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really about being understanding and accepting of everybody's abilities.
It's working together as a team to just divide the work in a way that everybody is happy to contribute in what they are contributing.
Exactly.
Okay, so something else that I love about your work is that it's not just about dividing the chores. You also talk about this mental load, like this invisible load of motherhood, like all these tasks, all these things that we have to plan, to remember, to just keep track of. and you're actually helping moms like sharing this load.
Yes, and that's a big thing. And we can divide up tasks, we can delegate jobs, but if mum is the only one that remembers when it has to be done and how to do it, then it doesn't matter if I tell Miss 16 that she's got to, responsible for clearing out the washing machine filter. If she doesn't even know that there is a washing machine filter, like that doesn't help. And so one of the big things that I am an advocate for is to creating systems in the house where everything that is in mum's head and everything that is in dad's head and everything that is in everyone else's head, that they're the only ones that know, that is created in a system such that anybody, a bit like a business, SOP, so that anybody can pick it up and can know what and when and how, when it's due and how to do it. And it just, the relief that I witness over the course of working, supporting my clients, where I see as they create these systems and share them and suddenly don't have to remember about it. Like it's one thing to remember, okay, July is when I get the carpet steam cleaned. Okay, so I've got to remember every July. And then even that, if mum then says to her partner in the end of June, can you organise for the steam cleaning next month? She still had to remember it for 12 months. Whereas to have that out of your head is what really helps you to free up that time and energy.
Yeah, definitely. It just liberates some mental space for you to do other things.
Yes.
So now I understand that you've put together a wonderful workbook for moms who want to step out of this mommy martyrdom. So can you tell us a little bit about the workbook and the idea behind it?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity, Camille. So I have had a lot of conversations with people over the last particularly couple of months where mums have said to me, this all sounds really wonderful, but like I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what those small steps are. And, I've tried everything with my lot, like just, what is it that actually is going to let me completely let it go? And so coming up with the answers and having these conversations, I realized that there's really 4 steps for anyone to start with, and they don't need to be done in order. They are just 4 steps. And in some households, you can, start with, as I've written it, step 1 through 4. Some people will look at the workbook and think, oh, actually, I really am keen to start on step 3. They're not necessarily sequential, is what I'm saying. But the workbook is designed for mums to work through those 4 steps, spend some time, as we said, looking around, seeing what actually is working, what isn't working. Spend some time doing this. It's full of journal prompts. So it's journal prompts to just really kind of get very clear on what it is that you are frustrated with and what it is that needs what would it create for you to clear that frustration. And then it goes through some real how-tos, how to implement some of this, how to create the systems, how to implement the systems, and just, takes you through the very starting points of getting the family on board, so that it's not all your job.
That sounds wonderful. So thank you, Eva. As we're wrapping up, can you tell us where we can find you and where we can find your workbook?
Yes, absolutely. So I am on Facebook and on Instagram, and I am at Eva Rado.com, all one word, EVARADOCOM, on those 2 platforms. I also have a website, evarado.com, and my workbook, which is called Motherhood Un-Load, is at evarado.com/mother-un-load, and you can download it and get access and download it there.
We make sure to link everything in the show note. So
excellent.
Yeah, so please make sure to grab the workbook. Eva, it's been wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you today.